When you think Australia, Carmela, what comes to mind?
Shrimp on the barbie.
Okay, fair enough. But what about Pinot Noir?
Not really.
Well, it's true. So for our 5th High QPR Pinot Noir episode, which is where we try and find Pinot Noirs that are both reasonably priced and outstanding wines, we're going to do a little bit of a focus on Australian Pinot Noir.
Wow. Are we going to visit there?
Well, I hope so. But
Ooh.
First, we're going to have a bloomin' onion.
Oh, wow. Is that what you think of when you...
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Shrimp, bloomin' onion, and a Pinot Noir.
Hello and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and this is my wife and my wine pairing partner in crime, Carmela.
Wow, did you forget my name?
I did.
Hi there.
And we are the Wine Pair.
Nice to meet you.
I'm jet lagged. I mean, I'll get to that in a second, but quick orientation for those of you who may be new to the podcast. Each week we explore a different wine varietal or blend like Arnais or Bordeaux or Pinot Noir, and we dive into what makes it unique and special and worth learning about. And our goal is to help you expand your wine knowledge in a fun way that normal people can understand. And then we also taste and review 2 to 3 wines under $20 each, and we share our scores and recommendations and our tastings with you to help you find great wines without breaking the bank.
Nice.
And so we want to thank you for joining us, and we're proud to say that Decanter Magazine calls us fun, irreverent,
chatty,
and entertaining. So it is true, Carmela, I am literally right off the plane.
I know, I can tell that this could be the best or the scariest
It's
podcast.
true.
I can't tell yet, although you seem a little bit off.
I will be a little bit off. No, I literally just got back from London, 9-hour flight. I'm a little bit tired, but you know what? The podcast is priority.
They must have known
you guys are priority.
Like, half of the Wine Pair, because he did get home. He walked off the plane with a full bottle
it's true.
Sparkling Prosecco wine.
It's true. They felt bad for me.
I don't get it.
I didn't say anything about the podcast. They felt bad for me.
Truly amazing.
But anyway, I had to get home because we are doing a High QPR Pinot Noir episode, and it was super important to me to get this done.
It's true.
And if you've forgotten, or you just never knew, or you didn't really care what High QPR stands for, it means quality to price ratio.
Important.
And it is. And that means for the price, what, Carmela?
You get a really great bottle of wine.
That's right. It's a good value. And we know this is hard to do, and it's important because Pinot Noir can be a very expensive wine. So it's nice to be home, Carmela, after a week away.
Missed you.
And it's nice to be doing an episode on Pinot Noir because as people who listen to this know, we like our Pinot Noir.
That's right.
And as usual, we are taking a risk with these episodes. I'll say that too. Because although I love Pinot Noir, I am kind of picky about exactly what kind of Pinot Noir we drink or what we like. I expect them to be kind of bright and cherry flavored and maybe some complexity, but also smoothness and balance. Yeah. And I think you don't often get that unless you're drinking like a cooler climate Pinot Noir. And a lot of times the cooler climate Pinot Noirs are not cheap. And so for that reason, and I think also just in general, we're kind of hard graders on Pinot Noirs.
I think probably.
Because as others have said, and I say this, there's nothing worse than a okay Pinot Noir.
Well, right. Who wants that? We have so many good ones.
Yeah, we want good.
Why settle?
Exactly.
Are you trying to find one that we don't, is like...
No, I want to find good.
That's what I'm saying. Is that today part of this? I mean, you want to expand our repertoire?
Yeah, a little bit with the Australia thing. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So why is Pinot Noir so expensive, you ask, Carmela?
I'm wondering, why is Pinot Noir so expensive, Joe?
God, that is a really good question.
I know.
I'm really glad you asked that.
Thought about it.
Yeah. So I may have answered this before in other episodes, but I'm going to do it again anyway, so just deal with it. First of all, Pinot Noir is a hard grape to grow. The grapes evidently have thin skins, like me. They're sensitive to heat and sun, and damage and disease, like me.
Wow,
so yeah,
damage and disease.
Well, I bruise easily. I've got very soft hands,
what?
people. I have very soft hands. My son, my 20-year-old son, said, "Dad, you have very soft hands," which is not something you really want your son to say.
He doesn't work with his hands very often.
Well, I do, but I sit and type. If you just ask Carmela,
that type of not hardworking hands. like outdoor hands.
No, not manly man hands, I guess.
No.
So that's one reason why it's expensive. The second one is that it's a grape that's often thinned when it grows because it grows in tight bunches and they can be susceptible to rot. So what farmers like to do is they like to try to reduce the clusters to allow more airflow. And that concept of thinning, I actually remember from like my Uncle Max and Aunt Ann, they had an orchard. And my uncle would always talk about thinning the trees. And I didn't really understand it until I watched it. It's a slightly different concept because he would thin the trees, which means remove some of the fruit and some of the branches so you get bigger fruit. So instead of a bunch of small ones, you get bigger, fewer, but fewer, but bigger.
Ones sucking up all of the nutrients.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you get a better overall yield. But they do the same thing thinning with Pinot Noir. So you have fewer grapes per bunch or per
but the
plant.
quality is higher.
The quality's higher, but you have less of it. So, that makes it more scarce. And there's also just not a lot of places where the grape grows well. So the supply of the grapes and the supply of the land is limited. And there's also high demand. It's one of the most, people love it. So, well, it's not everybody loves it, but a lot of people really love it. And so it's hard to grow. It's hard to find. People like it. And those kinds of things, scarcity and demand, make things more expensive. That's economics 101.
Right. We got that.
Come on. Freakonomics even.
Right. Whoa.
So it's no wonder that we have a hard time finding high quality Pinot Noir at the prices we want to stick to. And today we again have a wine that's just over $20.
Ooh.
So that's a little bit over our price point, but I just think it's going to be harder and harder, especially with wines like Pinot Noir or wines like Bordeaux. We're going to try and find high quality ones that are low in price, but they're probably not. It's going to be hard to find a bunch that are under $20.
Okay.
And as we mentioned in the intro, we also have one from Australia.
Just one?
Just one. So we have two wines. One's from California, one's from Australia. So it'd be a good balance to kind and see what the difference is.
Oh, I thought they were both from Australia.
No, just one of them. But, it'll be good to do a little taste test. And so we'll get to that in just a minute. But first,
you got to do our shameless plug.
That's right. So we want to thank you for listening to us and supporting our show. And if you haven't had the chance to do so yet, now would be a really great time to follow us or subscribe to our podcast.
Right now.
Right now. Like right now.
Right now.
It's a free way to support us, and we really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who subscribed. And another great way to support us, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, is to leave a nice rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you can do that on our website. We'd really appreciate that. And you can also follow us and see pictures of the wines we're tasting and trying today, and weird AI pictures I like to make on Instagram at the Wine Pair Podcast. And you can contact us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, and you can sign up for our email newsletter there. And if you didn't get the last newsletter, just send me a note at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com and I will send it to you.
Love it.
And we want to make content you care about and content you like. So send us a note and tell us what you like and what you don't like. And if there are wines you want us to try or winemaking areas of the world that you're curious about, and we will take care of it. We promise. We do it all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Talk like that too.
Wow. Only if you talk like that.
That's right. Only if I talk like this. And as we do every week, we'll tell you someone we think you should recommend the Wine Pair Podcast to so we can keep growing our listeners. And this week, we want you to recommend us to anyone who likes to speak with an Australian accent and enjoys going to the Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, boy.
Where we spent a ton of time when our kids were little.
Yeah.
And
Not
if you
a ton of time.
Well, we went more than once. And if you really want authentic Australian food,
go there.
Outback Steakhouse. Another shrimp on the bobby.
I don't even know how it separates itself out as an Australian steakhouse.
It's not. You know what it is? Just a themed restaurant. They were just like, we got to come. A bunch of people sat in a room and were like, okay.
They just called it the Outback.
Yeah. So it's like, no, I'm sure there's nobody Australian even like associated with it. They were just like, this could be fun. Some of the people working there
may not even know that it's that theme.
Oh, no, I think they know.
Really?
Well, why would they not know? No, shrimp on the bobby. No, they have to know.
Okay. Maybe.
Okay. There may be like 3 or 4 people.
I don't know.
Okay. So, Carmela, let's talk a little bit about Pinot Noir from Australia. Don't worry, I'll beep that out. Because, I mean, everyone talks about Pinot Noir.
That was just kind of
It was egregious.
Yeah,
it was unnecessary. Wow. But I'm jet lagged, and so that kind of stuff is going to come out.
Selfish, but you just wanted to like... I don't know.
Shock. It'd be shocking.
Yeah, I mean, because you caught my attention. I think, were you seeing if I was listening?
Kind of, because she was nodding off a little bit. You think I have jet lag.
I was, yeah.
Woo.
I just got home or something.
Okay, but everyone talks about Pinot Noir from Burgundy and Pinot Noir from Oregon and Pinot Noir from Sonoma and even Pinot Noir from New Zealand. But what about Pinot Noir from Down Under?
What about it?
Well, believe it or not, Pinot Noir has been in Australia since 1817 when some dude named John MacArthur brought it into the country.
That's weird.
Although, like most stories, there's some weird twist on it because others credit it to another dude named Busby.
I like that better.
And he brought it in like 1836. Whatever.
I don't know why. I don't know why that even sounds better.
It better. MacArthur, who gets boring. Busby, you know, like that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Who knows if he's even Australian?
He's probably not.
Okay.
But it's the fourth largest red wine grape variety in Australia, but it still only makes up 3% of the total wine made.
Huh.
You know, Australia, lots of Syrah, or as they call it there, Shiraz. Yes, same wine. Now, Pinot Noir does better in cooler climate regions, as we talked about. So it may surprise you that they make Pinot Noir in Australia because, as I understand it, I've never been, but I think Australia can be pretty damn hot. That's what I understand.
So, which sounds lovely to me.
It does. Well, not as lovely to me, but I think lovely to you. They also have a lot of deadly creatures, but that's a whole nother story. I think they have the most poisonous creatures anywhere in the world. Okay, but anyway, believe it or not, there are some cooler wine regions in Australia where they grow wine grapes, and the main ones are Tasmania, the Yarra Valley, and the Adelaide Hills, which are all in the southern part of the country.
Okay.
So now Tasmania, where the famous Tasmanian devil comes
that's the only thing that I think of.
And it's not the cartoon one. There's actually a little...
Yeah, I had to hold back from saying that.
No, but that's where it's from.
Yeah, it's an animal.
And it's evidently considered to be, by some, the wine spot in Australia when it comes to Pinot Noir and sparkling wine, which is often made with a combo of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. The locals call it Tassie, and they have not been making Pinot there or even wine there for very long, at least not in any big volume. But Tasmania wine started taking off in the 1970s, so it's still pretty recent.
Okay.
And it's really over the last 20 years or so that it's become noted for Pinot Noirs. And they're described as translucent and elegant and scented, which seems right up our alley. And about half of the wine grapes grown on the island are Pinot Noir. So this is just an island just to the south of southern Australia. Whatever. Okay.
Nice.
The next one is the Yarra Valley, which is near Melbourne in the southeast part of Australia. And about 37% of the wine grapes they grow are Pinot Noir. So it's also a really important grape in that area. And evidently in the Yarra Valley, there's a difference between upper Yarra wines, where the air is cooler because it's higher up and the growing conditions are more challenging. And remember, wine grapes like stress. They like challenging places to grow. They do better. So the upper Yarra wines are probably more our style. They're sometimes described as perfumed or savory, less heavy. One person called their tannins wiry, which I think is a really interesting, you kind of get a sense of that maybe in your mind about a wiry tannin. It's got some, it's not heavy tannin, but it's got some grip to it probably.
Yeah, interesting.
And then the lower Yarra, the wines there, the Pinot Noirs there tend to be a little bit rounder and fruitier and spicier, which are really hallmarks of warmer climate Pinot Noirs, more like you'd probably find in a California. And then one thing I read also claimed that the Yarra Valley climate is cooler than other Australia wine regions because it's up against the snowy Great Dividing Range. I didn't even know there were snowy mountain ranges in Australia, but evidently there are.
It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. So, and again, the soils are volcanic, which I say again because it's good for wine grapes because wine grapes like stress and volcanic soils are very porous and they don't hold water super well. Okay, the last area that we're going to talk about is the Adelaide Hills. And this is the third area of Australia known for Pinot, and Pinot Noir is only about 20% of the grapes grown there. And the higher hills of the area evidently make it a great climate for them because, again, it's colder there. And Adelaide is also in South Australia, but it's kind of to the west of Melbourne and the Yarra Valley. And some of the best Pinot is said to come from the Piccadilly Hills. Sounds kind of a fun place to be. Lenswood and the, I don't know how to say this, Fleurir Peninsula. And now Adelaide is the most northern of the three areas, but again, is still part of southern Australia. And it's also very close to the ocean. So that will keep the heat down as well. Like a lot of places where they grow Pinot Noir in California are very close to the ocean because it keeps it a little bit cooler. So in general, Pinot Noir from Australia is said to be pretty light in color, perfumey, and with cherry and red berry flavors. So I think that's kind of up our alley.
Just what we like.
And they're supposed to be wines that age well. And when they age, they can, like a lot of good wines that age, will develop complex flavors. And they say they're flavors like truffle and game, which I always think is an interesting one, like meat.
I know that. I'm never super excited about that. I don't know why.
I drink a meaty wine.
It's just funny that people would even, like compare it to that.
I don't even think I would talk, like, I don't even know that I would describe something as meaty. You wouldn't want to mention it.
Yeah. I don't know. Especially if you're the one that's making the wine or, marketing it. I don't think that's the greatest
Tastes like venison.
Yeah. I don't
think
know.
So. I think so.
I think that somebody tasting it might recognize that, but I don't know if you should give that as like your descriptor for it.
Yeah, and I don't think when we taste wines, we don't usually give that as a descriptor.
I don't know if I personally don't think I want to taste a wine.
Oh, no, we have. I think Carignan.
I remember, yeah.
I think Carignan was one of those where it's like, I feel like I think I just ate it.
But that's what I mean. Like, why would they market it with that?
I don't know. I don't think they market it. I think what they're saying is that in some wines, that complexity is actually appreciated, that flavor would come out. But anyway, also earthy characteristics come out too. Yeah, that is different. Yeah. And they're supposed to have soft tannins and I like this description, expand at the back of the palate in something called the peacock's tail finish. That's what they talk about, the tannins. It's kind of nice. Like you kind of get a picture in your mind of like how that's going to be.
Oh, I think it's really lovely.
Lovely. Now, I have not had a lot of Australian Pinot Noir, so I am excited to try it today. And we've had really good luck with New Zealand Pinot Noir. And I'm thinking that we have not done enough Pinot Noir from New Zealand. So I think our next one, we should probably just focus on New Zealand.
Okay.
Because New Zealand is a cooler climate in general than Australia. And then again, we're going to compare it to a Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir. So again, good face-off.
Nice.
So I think now is the time to talk a little bit about the wines we chose for today's episode. Carmela, what do you say?
I'm ready.
Before I fall asleep.
I'm saying you're doing pretty well. I'm the one who's kind of dozing off over here. No, I'm not. No.
Okay, the two wines we're drinking today are both around $20, but as I said, one of them is slightly over $20. And so on average, but the other one is less. So on average, they come out to about $20 each.
Perfect.
So I think it counts. Mm-hmm. And they should also be reasonably easy to find because I bought them both at wine.com. So
perfect.
The first wine we're going to drink is the one from Australia, and it's called Innocent Bystander Yarra Valley Pinot Noir. So guess where it's from?
The Yarra Valley.
Very good, because Yarra Valley is in the name. So I guess we know which area, cooler climate area of Australia it's from.
Perfect.
There are newer vintages available, and they have a few different Pinot Noirs. So just note, this is the 2019 Yarra Valley from Innocent Bystander. If you're,
take notes. Please, you said please note. No, so I hope you know. If you can take notes,
matters. Carmela.
Okay.
The year matters, and also they have other Pinot Noirs, and so I just want to be very specific.
Take note of that. We'll be in the show notes.
And you'll get participation points if you show us your notes. Show us your notes. You don't remember when you're a teacher and when we were teachers, it's like, I want to see your notes.
Right. You have to turn in your whole notebook sometimes.
Well, and now with ChatGPT, you better make sure they're showing their notes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. I was able to find a text back to the wine, a tech sheet for this wine. I love a good tech sheet, and so I pasted this into our show notes. Did you know we have show notes?
I knew that. I'm fully aware now.
Okay, good. And this is a really good text sheet. And this wine also got a 90 rating from Wine Enthusiast and an 87 from Wine Spectator. And I'll just say 87 is a good rating, and I tend to trust Wine Spectator ratings a little bit more than I do Wine Enthusiast. I just think that in general.
Okay, good to know.
But the winery mentions that the grapes are 100% hand-picked, so that's going to add some cost to it as well, even though this is a reasonably priced wine.
That's a big job.
Yeah, exactly. And then they ferment in open-top containers with 10% of the grapes whole cluster. And so what that means is 10% of the grapes are pressed with their stems on. Like all of that stuff stays with it. And the reason winemakers will do that, like do whole cluster pressing, is to add some complexity. And evidently it helps with the color of the wine as well.
It's going to give some influence to the taste.
It will.
Sure.
And also tannin. It also affects tannin. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll do this whole cluster pressing when they're making a lower tannin wine, and Pinot Noir can tend to be a little bit lower tannin. And then it's also said sometimes to add some spice or even like a sappiness to the wine, which makes sense, and some muscle or structure to the wine. And remember, Carmela is the more muscular one of the two.
True. Couldn't be more true. No.
So, but also some wine experts are big fans of whole cluster fermentation, but these guys only do 10% of the grapes as whole cluster. So it should add a little bit of maybe a little bit of girth to the wine, but it's not going to be overpowering. So it'll be interesting to see if we can even tell. They also say they use indigenous yeast. They use gentle plunging on a daily basis, which means they push down the stuff that floats to the top during fermentation
by hand.
They probably may. They may. I don't. They probably have a tool or something that they use. And again, the reason they do that is to extract more flavor.
Nice.
And then they say they put it on French oak for 9 months, most of which is seasoned. So they specifically said seasoned oak, which means it's been used before. And sometimes it also means that it has had other liquids in it. So sometimes a seasoned barrel will have maybe it had whiskey in it or something else in it before.
That's interesting. They don't use the same barrel for the same liquid?
Well, I guess evidently just sometimes if you see seasoned barrels, it may be that they're not just older barrels. They're not new wine barrels, but they may have been used for a different liquid at some point. So to give a little bit of different taste.
Sure.
And then they also say 10% is new oak. So these guys are just doing a little bit of stuff. 10% new oak, 10% whole cluster. So
they're just trying everything out.
Exactly. And so remember, French oak is the more mellow of oaks, and new oak barrels are going to be the strongest. And so again, they have seasoned oak, French oak, so lighter. It's going to be a lighter oak flavor. They also don't filter the wine. So I'm kind of intrigued by the way that they're approaching their winemaking. I think they're trying to add a little...
That is different.
Yeah, a little bit of oomph to it, maybe a little cloudy. They're just trying to make maybe a more natural kind of wine. Because I think in the olden days, they would probably press the wine grapes with all that stuff in it. Right.
And they didn't have the same tools really maybe to even filter it out.
Exactly.
That's going to be... We don't see that a lot with red wines,
No, usually they're super clear. They're usually filtered. So we'll see. We'll see if this one ends up being cloudy or not. And it's also a screw cap, so that's nice. Yes. We like screw cap. Now, the second wine we're drinking is the Sean Minor Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir, and it's the 2022 vintage. And this was the one that was just over $20. But it was $21.99. It's close enough. And this wine also has a tech sheet, which I posted. And the one thing I noticed right away is that it's 14.5% alcohol, which is actually pretty high for a Pinot Noir. Okay. So I always worry a bit.
It is, interesting.
Yeah, I always get a little bit concerned when a Pinot Noir is over 13.5% alcohol, because I get worried that it's made in that kind of California, bigger, bolder style. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. We can't prejudge.
Wow.
Now, they say the wine is made...
This could put you right to sleep.
Yeah, actually, it really could. I might fall asleep right now. Okay. No, the wine is said to be...
Do not do that to me. Do not.
She's on her own. Now, they do say the wine is made from clones of Pommard and Dijon grapes, which are famous Burgundy areas. And they also say that they handpick the grapes and that they handpick them at night and early morning because they want to pick the grapes when they're cool. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. And they destem the wines, so they're not using whole clusters. They destem the wines, and they also...
grapes.
I'm sorry, the grapes, yes.
You said it twice, and I was going,
he really tired.
Means that. He really means the wines. I'm like, I know you don't like stemless wine glasses.
Oh, no.
So you're not...
Don't destem the wine glasses.
Right.
No, the grapes. Sorry.
Wow.
Thank you for correcting me. And they also ferment...
Was that in the script?
No, it was... Yes, I wrote. Thank you, Carmela, for correcting me.
Thanks.
No.
You're welcome.
No, and they also ferment the wines in open top containers, which is what the Innocent Bystander did as well. And then they say they cold soak the wine for 3 days before fermenting. So they do try to keep the wine cool. They also say they punch down the wine 2 to 3 times.
Now pressing and punching.
They're punching it. They say they punch it down 2 to 3 times per day during fermentation.
My God.
So they're mean to it. They're mean to the wine.
These poor wines.
I know. What have they ever done to you? You jerks. But that's going to extract more flavor from the wine. So if you do it multiple times a day, you're really trying to extract more flavor. What's the difference
between pressing and punching?
Well, don't be a smarty pants. Okay. So because they're doing more punching, and
I'm going to punch you.
I know you are, and then I might be really out. But they're going to get... and this is another reason I'm a little bit worried about how powerful this Pinot might be. More muscular than the kind of Pinot
punchy.
A little punchy. Oh, okay. They also age their wine in French oak, with 20% of it being new, and then they age it for 10 months. Now, this wine has gotten some good reviews. So we got a 92 from Wine Spectator, a 90 from Wine Enthusiast, and a 93 from the tasting panel. So I think, again, if either of these wines is good, we will totally have found a high QPR Pinot Noir.
Okay.
And again, I really also think having wines from two different areas of the world using slightly different winemaking techniques and considered warmer climate areas, but cooler portions of those regions.
This should be a video.
I can't even get a thought out.
I don't know. No, you're just so like, he's got his arm.
I'm punching.
Moving. He's punching. He's basically punching right now. I don't know why. I'm the only one that gets to witness it.
Yeah, so. It's lucky
really,
you.
really
lucky
interesting.
You.
Okay,
lucky
go
you.
forward.
Okay, but anyway, I do think this will be a really interesting way to kind of taste differences and see if we can really tell the difference between them. And just like, I think what's fun about trying different wines, I think maybe sometimes it's confused. Well, why do you care if it's from this region or that region? It's the same wine, because they can be very different from each other. And I think this is a way also you kind of hone in on the kind of wine that you like. Because I think sometimes people may try a Pinot Noir or a Zinfandel or a Cabernet, but they try it from a particular region, particularly California, and they may like it, and that's the style they like, or they may not like it. Like, I'm finding that Cabernet is a wine that I have much disparaged, but if I get it from Bordeaux and it's blended, I really like it. In fact, in London, I was the wine sommelier. I was picking all the wines. And one night, and I'm thinking, what will people like? And one night I picked a blend, Agorgitiko, which is the Greek wine we really like, and Cabernet. And I picked that as the blend, and people loved it.
Really?
They loved it.
I was going to say, what was the feedback?
No, I think I did really well on my wine picking. So people were,
no surprise.
Someday I can tell you the different wines that I chose, because every restaurant I chose different wines based on the food we were eating and trying to find wines that I think people will like, but maybe a little bit different than wines that they're used to. So that's kind of fun for me.
Oh, good job.
So anyway, back to the wine. I think that's enough information. I think we need to get drinking these Pinot Noirs. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And if you have one of these wines or another Pinot Noir or just any damn wine, you can drink along with us and get those
tonight.
Yeah, get those participation points.
Right.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, we are back and we are ready to try our first wine. The first thing we said is like nice light color, that Pinot Noir color. Mm-hmm. This is the Innocent Bystander Yarra Valley Pinot Noir. It's from the Yarra Valley of Australia. 2019. This was $18.99 at wine.com. 13.5% alcohol, 100% Pinot Noir as far as we know. And again, Wine Enthusiast gave it a 90 and Wine Spectator gave it an 87, and it's a screw cap. Ooh. But what are you smelling, Carmela? We actually cheated.
I was like, say what you said right off the bat, which
perfumey, like flowery, perfumey, maybe a little bit
like
of
fresh flower.
Yeah, fresh flowers, rose, maybe a little rose, maybe even a little tulip. I don't know.
I just feel like it's even just like like a wildflower, very fresh and light, but definitely like a floral, but fresh, or even kind of like this is not super light, but like a gardenia,
Okay.
A little bit gardenia.
Okay. I'm definitely getting red fruit, and I'm getting red fruit candy, like a strawberry candy or a raspberry candy. Not as much cherry, a little bit of cherry, but definitely a red fruit and candy.
Okay.
Kind of sweet. And if I swirl it, I can already tell. I think if I swirl it, I'm going to get a little earth on it, I bet. Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a touch, kind of on the end of it or something.
Yeah.
I mean, just like when you really...
A little bit of dirt.
Yeah, but it's really... You really have to sniff around for it.
Actually, maybe a little more rock, actually, than dirt. I feel like I'm getting a little more rock.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think we try it.
Okay. Ooh.
It's, I would say it's really fruity.
No.
To me, it's very fruity.
Yeah, it is. Oh.
It's very light. This is a very light Pinot Noir.
Pretty smooth.
It's pretty smooth. I would say I'm getting that, like they said, the wiry tannins, and I'm getting that. Like they're not like overpowering, but you get them
at the end for sure. Again, it's one of those things. It's like it's pretty intense at the end. But when you first taste it, I'm not tasting. It's like kind of more of a typical Pinot Noir, but there's something different about the end of this wine.
And I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, so I'm probably cheating a little bit, but I do taste a little bit of oak and toastiness on it, and I might be tasting a little bit of like stem. Like you know what I mean? Like that might be that earthiness or that we were kind of smelling as well.
This is the 14.5.
No.
Oh, it's not?
No,
I still feel like this is pretty alcoholic.
And it's a 2019, so it's 5 years old. So it's had time to age.
Do you think it's a little hot?
It's a little hot.
Yeah.
It's not as it's got nice acidity. This is a very acid Pinot Noir. It doesn't have a lot of roundness on it. It's very acid.
Right. It doesn't strike me as a Pinot Noir, but I like it. Like it does. I mean, it's not. I'm just not finding it's falling into the traditional tastes of a Pinot Noir.
To me, it reminds me a little bit more of a Gamay. I think, but it's nice. It's a nice wine. The one thing that it doesn't have that I really like in a Pinot Noir is that really cherry taste. And it doesn't have a lot of cherry. It has a lot of, I think it's more like raspberry or strawberry.
And a little bit tartar. A little more tart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What food would you eat with this?
I think it actually could stand up to, I mean, I think you could have red meat for sure. And I think you can even do like pork with this.
I think it's very versatile. This would be chicken. You could do a lot of things. I think you could do vegetarian dishes. I think it'd be good with a lot of vegetarian dishes.
What this would be good with is like a lasagna.
Yeah. I think this is very versatile. Spicy dishes, fried dishes. I think it's very versatile. Yeah. I think it goes well with food because it's not an overpowering taste and it's got this nice acidity on it.
Right.
I think it actually be really quite good with food. Yeah. More than just sipping it on its own.
I agree. Better with food.
Yeah, I think so.
I do too.
Okay, well, let's rate it. So as a reminder on our rating scale, we rate on a scale of 1 to 10. And we don't do half points. We only do whole points. And a 7 or above means we'd buy it. And 4 below means we're going to pour it down the sink. And a 5 or a 6 means we'll drink it. We like it, but we're not going to buy it. So what would you give Innocent Bystander?
Ooh, this is tough for me. This is tough because it's a Pinot. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, would I buy this Pinot? I think it's a fun experiment, something different, new. Like you and I, if we went out to dinner, I think I would buy it. I think I would. I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 7 too. It's right on the edge between a 6 and a 7. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's nice. I like that it's very acidic. I think it's got that nice, I want a Pinot to be a little bit lighter. I don't want it to have a really heavy mouthfeel, and I think it would go well with food.
This is a good food wine.
But it's not a wine that I'm like, oh man. No. So it's a 7, but I think it's a hesitant. Right. 7.
I wouldn't give this as like a gift, or might not like if we're having a dinner party. It probably, but if we're like, oh look, I would
Tuesday night. It's a Tuesday night wine.
Yes.
Good Tuesday night wine. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna take a little break and we're gonna try our second wine.
Okay.
Okay, we are back and we are ready to try our last wine. This is the Sean Minor, and it's SEAN, Sean Minor, MINOR, Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir. It's from Sonoma Coast, California. It's a 2022, so it's pretty young. $21.99. Got it at wine.com. Again, 14.5% alcohol, so it's pretty high. It's 100% Pinot Noir. And again, Wine Spectator gave it a 92 and Wine Enthusiast gave it a 90. But Carmela, I would just say too, it's not a screw cap. It's got a cork. It's light flavored, but it's not, or light colored, but it's not as light colored as the last one.
No, it's pretty though, but it has a little hint of orange in it. I agree. Like. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different, it's not, because Pinots are so pretty. Mm-hmm. This has a
little dull, maybe. Yeah, a little dullness to it.
Maybe.
What are you smelling though?
Right away, I kind of got a mushroom, earthy dirt. I kind of got that on it more than anything, but like a mushroom, like a gravy, mushroom gravy.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know why.
I got like very perfumey.
Really?
Rose perfume.
Wow, we're totally not smelling the same things.
Yeah, and but with wood on it, like definitely like cedar on it.
No mushroom.
I'll swirl it and see what. But the other thing is, I'm getting like a Twizzlery kind of smell on it. A cherry candy though. This one is more cherry smelling to me.
So funny. I'm getting like Old Fire.
Yeah, but I got that smell like a cedar.
Yeah, no, but mine is almost like a fire going out at the end of the night.
Okay, now when I swirl it, it's very earthy. It's very vegetal when I swirl it. Very smoky.
Yeah, funny that our first impressions were very different. Yeah,
let's taste it and see what we think.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like it's a little young. It's perfumey. It's really perfume. It's got that like almost old lady perfume.
Yeah. It's a little, and There's a little bit of bitterness on it. Almost like you're like, I'm thinking about Elf.
Yeah.
And the way he sprayed the, and he was waving at his mouth. It's like, whoops, like a little kid thinking, ooh, this smells so good. Or even like an extract, like when you accidentally drink. I mean, this is not even a thing, but people, if you accidentally drank a little bit of vanilla extract.
No, I get what you're saying. You're getting that astringency. Mm-hmm. I'm getting some orange on it. I am honestly getting orange juice, like a really tart orange juice on it.
Oh, okay.
I really am. I mean, it's got this acidity, but I'm getting a very citrusy acidity on it.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to me. Yeah. This is not the typical Pinot Noir.
Like a Pinot to me.
Yeah, no, I would not say. Oh, right.
No.
Well, again, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a different wine. I wouldn't say it was a Cabernet, for instance. It's got some of the hallmarks, that like sharpness, etc., of a Pinot, but it doesn't have that cherry taste that I like.
No, it doesn't really.
I find this is more typical for the California Pinots, especially like kind of the less expensive California Pinots, is they have this kind of rose perfume and then oaky, like they try to oak it up. Yeah. And I just don't think it needs to be oaked up. I think again, like this is 14.5% alcohol.
Yeah.
That is super high for a Pinot Noir.
You're already slurring your words.
No, but I just don't think it's just me. I don't think you can make a great Pinot at that high of alcohol. I just think it's too high of alcohol.
It's high. There's something about this.
It's not balanced. It doesn't have that balance. It's not smooth. It lacks smoothness.
Yeah.
That's
doesn't
what it lacks.
Feel as, I don't want to say formal, but just as sophisticated.
I agree.
It just doesn't feel like it feels almost like a little bit of work to drink this.
Now, what I will say again, this is a 2022, so it is very young.
Yeah.
And so it might be a wine that could use 5 or 6 years to kind of mellow out a little bit.
Right.
So I kind of wonder if we tried this again, it was or we were trying a 2017 of this wine.
I was going to say in 5 years. Oof.
Yeah, but maybe we would think, wow, this is a really good wine. So just based on the taste today, I'm not loving it, but I could see this as an aging, like a wine that could age.
I mean, it's not offensive. It's not like you go, oh, but it's just not. It's not.
I think it's too young.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're right. What would you eat with this wine?
This is, right now it's so kind of like orangey to me and kind of citrusy and sharp that it's a little bit hard to actually place. Like I probably would just do poultry. I think I'd probably just stick to poultry, maybe a pork loin or something. But I'd probably just stick to poultry.
Like a roast?
No, I would not.
It's too much.
I wouldn't do anything
pork
hearty.
Roast. Nah.
If it was maybe, but more like a Mexican pork, like a
pulled
pork or a Mexican pork, like I could see that.
That would be good.
Yeah, I could see that, but not a rich stew. I would not do a rich stew. I just don't think it.
And I
think
can't
it's
really
too
put
sharp.
my finger on it. I mean, maybe that means I wouldn't really.
Yeah.
Buy it,
Right now, I wouldn't buy this wine. No. Like right now, this is like probably a 6.
That's what I right away I thought 6 for me. Like I have no problem drinking it.
Yes. I would drink it.
I'm not even really sure I don't know that I would say this is a Pinot Noir if somebody said, guess the wine.
Well, and if I did, I might. But I think immediately I would say, if they said, well, it's actually Pinot, I'd say, well, then it's from California. Because it just tastes like a California Pinot to me. And I just don't. There's been a few, like Bloodroot. We really liked the Bloodroot. There are some good ones. But I just think it's hard to find the Pinots that I like or that we like. I think we're going to find those more in Oregon. We're going to find them more in like the Burgundy, etc.
Agreed.
So which of these two are you finishing tonight? I think.
The Innocent Bystander.
By the way, she didn't like that. She was like, I don't like the guy
looked creepy, but then I felt bad because Joe was like, well, it's just an innocent bystander.
Yeah, he's just an innocent bystander.
And I was like, oh, right. That's what I get it.
That's the whole point. You judged him.
Oh, wow. Here he's probably doing a good thing.
Yeah. But,
drinking.
Good thing.
Wine.
Drinking.
It's an innocent bystander.
All right, Carmela, the big question is, did we find a high QPR Pinot Noir?
I think we've found others.
But among these two?
You know what? The first one I think is definitely in the running for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was $18.99, which is not super cheap.
No.
But it's not expensive wine. It's good. It's a good wine. Right. It's a good, decent Pinot Noir.
It's, it would work well with a variety of dishes.
Very versatile. and enjoyable, pleasant, not offensive.
I think most people would enjoy it too.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a summer wine to me, maybe a little bit more than. But anyway, all right, let's talk about the taste profiles expected from Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Wine Folly says the typical tastes are raspberry, cherry, mushroom, vanilla, hibiscus. Wine Enthusiast says cherry, raspberry, mushroom, and forest floor, vanilla, and baking spice. So we were getting those.
Okay.
Innocent Bystander, the winery says a full-flavored, medium-bodied, Pinot Noir. I don't think it was full-flavored or medium-bodied. I think it was pretty light-bodied.
Yeah.
Aromas are driven by whole bunch perfumes. I did think it was perfumey.
Yes.
Cranberry, boysenberry, so they were getting that tart fruit for sure. And cherry, a little bit, with earthy dried spices. Okay. Palate shows juicy dark fruits. I don't think so. Velvety mouthfeel and finished with soft, savory tannins.
Neither were soft.
I don't think it was super soft tannins. Wine Enthusiast says quiet at first. This wine needs plenty of swirling before it unfolds. Aromas of cherry, plum, crushed stone, and whiffs. Remember I said, I think I'm getting rock. And whiffs of roasting herbs, spice, and black olive. Palate is more powerful than the nose lets on.
I think it was a little briny.
Yeah. I think so too. Thanks to tightly wound talc-like tannins. I did think the tannins were not soft. I thought they were pretty tight.
I agree.
And then brambly fruit, laced with spice. And then Wine Spectator says aromatic for sure, floral for sure, herbal and tea notes that balance out the tangy red fruit flavors, followed by firm tannins on the finish. I think we were more aligned with Wine Spectator.
Yeah.
Okay, for the Sean Miner, the winery says medium-bodied, I think that's true, with rich aromas of plum, cherry, green tea, and a slight clove spice. I think those are actually very good tasting notes from the winery.
Yes.
Lean entry with rich and sweet cherry and plum flavors. Plum. See, plum is not a typical Pinot Noir flavor.
No.
Plum is like a richer red fruit. And then framed by vanilla and oak notes. I was getting oak. Wine Spectator says a nice streamlined mineral-tinged version with racy acidity running underneath blood orange.
Oh my gosh, you did say
And
that.
raspberry coulis flavors, while savory and hibiscus hints chime in on the finish where the fruit lingers prettily. They got orange. Remember, I was saying orange.
You did.
And then
orange juice even.
Yeah, Wine Enthusiast says a tempting cherry chocolate aroma. I didn't get cherry chocolate, I don't think.
I didn't.
Plummy flavors make this full-bodied and moderately tannic wine broadly appealing. I do think that maybe if you had a broader spectrum, like maybe people were like not so sure about Pinot Noir, they may like this wine a little bit more. But I do think it needs more time. Slightly chewy texture nicely backs up the ripe cooked berry. I think cooked berry is good, and plum flavors. But again, see, like plum is not a taste I expect out of a Pinot Noir.
No.
So I'm almost like offended that it's like they're bragging about the
Now he's
plumminess of it.
offended.
No, but I just don't think a Pinot is plummy. I just don't think it's supposed to be plummy.
Hey,
I'm judging it. I'm a judger.
it's okay.
That's what we do. Anyway, okay. Well, I think we did pretty well.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's fun. Super fun.
Super fun. And you know what? Australia, good. I do think we do need to do New Zealand. I'm now you guys.
You can do if you want to.
I need to go to bed. Okay, Carmela, it's time for us to go. But before we do, we want to thank you very much for listening to us. And if you haven't done so yet, now is a great time to follow us or subscribe to our podcast and leave us, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, then leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or our website. We would really appreciate it. And again, we love to hear from you. Tell us about a wine you want us to taste and review or an area of the world you want us to talk about. So you can leave a message for us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com. You can join our email newsletter there, and you can always reach out to us at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com, and we do respond. We do respond.
He does.
I do.
He ropes
Mostly
me into
me.
it, but it's
Mostly me.
him.
But I'll say, Carmela, listen to this.
Yeah,
and then
he
she'll
shares.
Say,
He does share.
And then she'll say, don't say that. That's rude.
Like what?
When I respond sometimes. No, she
No,
never says.
he's so nice. I think so.
I love it. I love it.
It
I
makes
really
his
do.
day.
It does. All
Make
right.
Joe's day.
Make my day. Make my day. Make my day.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway,
He's
I'm
got
really
second
grumpy.
wind all of a sudden.
That means in half an hour I'm going to be really grumpy and want to go to bed. Okay. With that, we're going to sign off. So thank you very much again. We'll see you next time. And as we like to say, life is short. So stop drinking the shitty wine. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good day, mate.
Good day.
I don't know if that's
That was right.
Yeah,
Good day,
yeah.
mate.
Our son would be so disgusted. Our youngest. He'd be like,
Here
oh
you go.
my God.